Looking to apply for a scholarship for your study overseas? This might be the video that you can't afford to miss. As in this video, I'm going to give you top 7 tips for applying for a scholarship for your study overseas, especially if you're planning to study in Australia. So without wasting a single minute, let's discuss these tips. So the number 1 tip I have for you is to research thoroughly. Anytime you're planning to apply for any scholarship, it's important that you research about it thoroughly. So if you have few preferred institutions to study in Australia, or rather anywhere else around the world, then what you should do is you should go to the website of that specific institution or university, look for the scholarship tab on the website, filter out anything that's not relevant to you. For example, if you're not a local student, then you should not select that option and choose the scholarship that are relevant for you and for your studies. And when I say relevant, it means that you are eligible to apply for those scholarships, as each scholarship will have their own eligibility criteria. So what I want you to do to maybe create an Excel spreadsheet where you can list all these scholarships that you have researched upon, and obviously compare and see which ones are a bit more relevant that you should go for and apply for them. The tip number 2 is asking your educational counselor or agent. It's probably one of the easiest tips to follow, but asking your agent or a counselor can be a really important thing, as if you don't ask, you don't get it. So whenever you're planning to study abroad, always ask what sort of scholarships are available from the university that you're planning to study. And good educational consultants will have knowledge about all the scholarships that are available in that specific institution, and they can also help you to apply for those scholarships as well. And it might be interesting for some of you to note that sometimes these educational consultants or agents have specific offers or deals that may not be listed on the website of the institution. So my tip is always ask your educational agent or counselor about the available scholarships in your preferred institution. The next tip is focus on your studies. Now, as you might be aware that most of the scholarships are awarded based on academic merits, which means that you will have to do well in your studies in order to get these scholarships. Let's take an example of Deakin University's Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship. They require students to have at least 85% scores in their year 12 or at least 80% scores in the bachelor's degree. So these are the minimum expectations when it comes to grades for that specific scholarship. And if you're applying for any really good scholarship, it is expected that you have a really good grades in order to get that scholarship. And that is one of the most important eligibility criteria for many scholarships here in Australia. So my very important tip for you all is to make sure to focus on your studies. Do not think that I may not be studying in this country anymore, I will be moving abroad or overseas, and you stop focusing on your studies, because it can certainly impact your future prospects of getting a scholarship when studying abroad. So make sure to focus on your study, do well, and try to get your best grades possible. So some students might think that I might not be able to get that many scores. So what should I do? The next tip is actually for you all, which is work on other co-curricular activities and skills. Now, as we know, most of the scholarships will be based on academic merits, no doubt about it. But there are some scholarships that will consider other elements like your participation in sports, your participation in community, your leadership skills, your entrepreneurship skills, or any sort of volunteer work you might have done in your local community or in your country. These are some of the other co-curricular activities that can be really helpful when applying for your study abroad scholarships. Some people do not recognize the importance of this, while there are some scholarships that actually will include these extra activities. So you might not have got the best grades in the world, but doing these extra co-curricular activities can be also helpful in getting a scholarship overseas. I would also encourage you all to participate in your local student clubs, local student unions, or some other activities outside your academic studies. The next and the very important tip will be to provide an excellent scholarship application and sometimes scholarship statements as well. Most of the high-end scholarships that provide 50% or 100% of your tuition fee waived will obviously have a very strict eligibility criteria. So make sure to read these criteria carefully. While some of the scholarships might not need you to submit any application form or any statements, most of these high-end scholarships will expect students to submit an application form along with their application statement as well. Application statement is also known as a cover letter as well. So when completing your application forms and providing any details in your statement, make sure you complete all the forms correctly. Try not to leave any parts empty, and when writing your application statements or cover letters, my tip will be keep it short and sweet. Don't go overboard, don't provide unnecessary information if it's not required, and make sure never go beyond the word limit that is being suggested. Usually that's around 1000 words, but it can vary depending upon the institution. And if you're writing this cover letter, make sure you address each and every selection criteria, because if you miss any, the chances are that you may not get the scholarship. And if possible, give real life examples, the things you have done, things you have achieved, whether it's in your academic career or on other activities. Please provide real life examples. And sometimes the university give you an option to either submit a written statement or maybe provide a video statement. In that case, my tip will be always provide a video statement. The reason for that is that you can show your personality when submitting your video statement, which is a bit hard to do in case of a written statement. And I would say that many students will prefer to actually write a statement, so you may have an edge over other competitors or other applicants, especially when you're submitting the scholarship application. So these were the specific tips in regards to your scholarship application and cover letter. If you want me to cover that in a separate video, please let me know in the comment section below as well. Next important tip in regards to your scholarships is do not miss the deadlines. Many scholarships are usually time sensitive, which means that you must apply for that scholarship within the given time frames. Obviously, some scholarships are very competitive and they won't be providing any more extensions for the application. So my suggestion will be quick when you are submitting any application for any of the scholarships, and try to prepare yourself in advance so that you can submit before the deadlines. And one of my favorite tip is the last tip, which is do not lose hope. Obviously, getting a scholarship sometimes can be really competitive, and the reality is that some of you might actually miss out on getting a scholarship. So I would say do not stress out too much and ask your counselors what other type of scholarships that are available, maybe from other institutions. So my suggestion would be to apply for multiple scholarships at the same time if possible. And if you end up getting no scholarship at all and you have to pay the full fee, well, in that case, what I suggest you to do is to study well when you are doing your course here in Australia, as some universities do have a provisions for providing scholarships to really well doing students as well. So if you are academically really strong and you demonstrate it through achieving high grades here in Australia in your term 1 or term 2, then some of you could be eligible to get some scholarships while you are studying as well. Now my suggestion also would be to make sure that you confirm that your university has such arrangements, as not every university will have those arrangements where you can get scholarship while you're still studying, as most of the universities prefer giving scholarships at the start of any student's career. And before we end this video, if you get a scholarship, make sure to do well in your studies here in Australia, because if you don't meet the criteria after term 1 or term 2, there is a possibility that they can cancel or even withdraw your scholarship. So it's not only just about getting a scholarship, but also maintaining that level of studies or academic merits in order to continue getting your scholarships. Now we got a very good article on a fully funded scholarships that you can score here in Australia. If you want to know more, check the link in the description for that. We also got some more articles regarding getting scholarship here in Australia and some other type of scholarships that are available. So we will put all the useful links in the description below for you. And we would love to hear from you. What type of scholarship are you applying for your studies here in Australia? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.